Howdy tubers, welcome back to the Zach Life. So this is a trailer episode number 3, the third video of this trailer. It's the crawler, suburban, golf cart, hauler mobile. This is a companion build. If you're new around here, this is a companion build to a motorhome I'm building. I've got a 77 359 heavy haul Pete that I'm building a toter home out of. It's not quite finished, but it's getting pretty close. And I took it from a truck. I actually built the frame. The motorhome, did every single small aspect of it, painted it, everything. If you'd like to watch it, there's a bunch of videos. There'll be some links in the description. I'll figure out how they all go, and you can check them out. Also, if you'd like to see the video where I kind of designed this, or the first or second video, there'll be a second video card, maybe the first video. I don't know how they all come. Anyway, if I can make that work, they'll be there. If not, they'll be in the description. 58 seconds into this, let's talk about something. So I've got to hook some air system up. I've got quite a bit of stuff left to do. I've rolled this out of my shop, as I talked about in the last video, kind of picked my shop up. It's back in here. There's quite a bit of stuff yet to do before I can load it, but this video is going to be trying to get it to the point to where we can put something on it. I'd like to get the crawler and the Suburban on it and stood up. And whatever it takes to get to that point will probably be what this video is about. Let's do it. So the first thing I did here was I actually hook the brake cans up to the axle. And when it dawned on me I'm going to have air to release the brakes to move the trailer, I sort of went ahead with the rough end of the air system. Kind of get all that stuff started. This piece of pipe goes across here that I've screwed the T into. Is obviously a structural piece of pipe, but I seal welded it up, and I'm going to use it actually as an air tank. And it's got the little jumper that comes up here to the relay valve. Now this relay valve is used. There's a pressure signal that comes from the truck, the blue glad hand, and it turns that small pressure signal into a high volume pressure signal, or whatever, high volume to air up or release the brakes very quickly. And this little T here is actually going to be what releases the spring brakes. It's got a line that goes to each brake chamber and then up to the front and ties into the emergency brake valve of the trailer up on the front of the trailer. So up here, mounting right here, is the emergency brake valve, and I've just got a various amount of T's and connections that are being welded on to give me easy access to some valves. There'll be some tank valves where I'll be able to air up the air suspension with like a small air compressor. The same way with emergency brakes, I can sort of disable them and air them up with a small air compressor if you want to move this trailer with something other than air brakes. Obviously, that's not an ideal situation, but I think it'd be completely adequate to load the crawler on and pull the Suburban, a few miles down the road to trailhead or something. All right, so the next thing I need to do, I had a bunch of brackets cut out. You'll see the rest of them in a minute, but I've got these half moons that'll be welded up against the pipe right here on top, and this will be what keeps this from going left to right. So I realize this is a little bit obscure to see, but I've got a set of pins, or a set of tabs that will pin this in the upright position. You'll have to put pins in it to initially drive the crawler up here, or to move the crawler in the down position. And so anyway, I've got these brackets. They'll go right here, and they'll be welded to this part right here. But they won't be welded in this cutout. And the reason for this is this will come back and make contact with this piece of tubing, and that will be the positive stop for how far back this thing can go. And then anyway, it'll have one of these tabs on either side. These are ovaled, so that if this thing sinks or anything kind of moves, there'll be a little bit of play in that tab to go up and down. But as far as side to side goes, the pin will fit tight. It's going to be a bolt. Anyway, they're going to go, you know, roughly like this right here. This thing's like trying to crawl through a jungle gym. So the next pin is going to go right here. And what I'm going to do is I got a piece of tubing that'll fit this bolt real nicely. And I'm going to blow a hole through both of this channel and this channel, weld it right here, and then you'll be able to slip the pin in from the outside. I'm not going to mark this out. It's going to be kind of ugly. I'm just going to get in here and torch a couple of holes out, egg it out, oblong it, and send it. So the last thing I got to do here is make a catch for this, and I'm going to take a piece of plate and torch out that I can weld to this channel. It'll have a V in it, basically just to catch this angle iron. It's not going to be pinned or anything this way. When the rock crawler is going to come forward, it's going to be, you know, very nose heavy. It's going to try to keep going. It's going to sit here, and I think I'm just going to put a couple of D-rings, take 2 ratchet straps, and ratchet strap back to the rock crawler, both to kind of help hold the rock crawler down, and then that'll be effectively the pinning of this, so it can't go back when you gas it. I didn't have those cut out. I'm gonna have to go torch them out of some plate. I'm gonna torch them out, grind them up, and then weld them in here. The last piece of this puzzle for right now is this. This is a piece of 4-inch OD. It's actually DOM tubing. It's an unusual size. Welded a plate on top of it and a hook, and it goes down inside here and hides away. I've got a half a dozen of these cut out. I don't know exactly how. I don't have any idea actually how this is going to attach to the skid plate. But I know that about this position, the skid plate sits about right here. And I'm simply going to load this thing and actually just get it where it needs to go before I weld these on here, so that it'll always line up perfectly. So I'm going to skip you forward about 3 hours here of us trying to get this angle iron pivot thing to pick the front axle up. It initially would almost grab it and fall off, and we ended up picking it up with a forklift and putting it on there, and you had to have somebody on the brakes. It would roll back and come off of it. And so these 3x12s that I've got up here, spacers, may be some kind of a somewhat permanent solution to this. If I just take some boards with a place to keep them and just stick them up there, they'll pick it up just enough that when you roll up on this piece of angle iron, it'll cam over and pick the axle and the tires up off the trailer. Now I'll have a couple of permanently attached chains here to hold the suspension down. They're just not here yet, so I take this chain and wrap it back around through this little pivot thing, and just use it sort of as a temporary chain, basically. But later on there'll be a set of permanently attached chains here to make this a lot easier to use. Alright, I'll run out of daylight here, but here's what the pin is going to look like. I hope you can make that out. I'll show you better. I'll have to pull all this back apart and weld it out. But that's what we got for now. That's good enough to pick it up at least once. So like on the other trailer, I'm going to use the big ratchet straps on the back to pick the axle up, and this should more or less put the weight of the back axle on this frame thing. And I don't know if it'll actually pick the tires up or not, and then we should be able to pull the front pins and rotate it forward. Alright, they didn't actually pick the tires up, but I can move them so they don't have much weight on them. I'm gonna have to waller out those holes a little bit. They're too tight for the bolts. I had to just pull forward a little bit on it, kind of get the bind off of it, and it came right out. I'm not really excited about being on the front of that. I think I'm gonna find me a broomstick or something to push the switch on a winch. It's about balanced right there. I really don't know what to do next. I think I might just leave it like that overnight, leave it there a few days, see what people say. I don't know, I'd like to go on over with it. Well, here it is. I spent most of the day kind of getting to this point, and I didn't video it just because it's long, monotonous. There wasn't much happening. I got the little eyelet from the piece of pipe there that bolts to the rock crawler. I got all that stuff all welded out and a pin blown through. I don't know if you can see it right somewhere there that keeps that piece of pipe being able to slide in and out. It's actually worked really good. I've unloaded and loaded this again, and basically just drove it up on there, pulled that piece of pipe out, stuck the pin through it so that it was, you know, positioned where it needed to be, but it was too high. Pulled the front axle down, and then started working the back axle down with the ratchet straps, and just watched it until the eye was lined up. I've got 1.25" holes in that, and I only used a 1" bolt, so there's a little bit of play, and then just stuck the bolt in it. I've got to rig up some kind of a winch to break it back over and to keep it from going too far. It doesn't take a lot. It doesn't feel like to pull it over. I might actually be able to, I'm thinking I might can zigzag a cable through here and just put a hand crank winch on the front of it, you know, just crank it to you know, to bring it back to the point that it breaks over. I don't think it'd take a lot. Let me I guess walk you around. There isn't much to see. You've kind of seen it already. So this is very close to what the CAT program looked like. You know, the back tire was just basically just on it. It actually was on there a little bit farther, and I've got a couple of, I don't know if I'm gonna call them problems, but whatever. I've got, see, I put these chains on here, and this chain is being crushed right in here, and when that, I'm gonna have to do something else, mount the chain differently. But when that chain's gone, this is going to come forward another inch, and I can actually take and notch this out a little bit farther, and I had actually intended on doing that, sort of get the weight distribution correct. Moving this whole thing forward or back by just an inch or two will change the tongue weight significantly. There is some tongue weight now, though it's very little. I would guess just a few hundred pounds. And I think this is going to put me exactly where I wanted to go. I'm going to move the crawler tilt it farther forward by just a small amount, probably that inch. I might cut a little bit more, inch and a half. Also, I can collapse the suspension by one more link in this chain. I've got quite a bit more suspension. That will sort of teeter-totter it around that pin just slightly and move all this forward a couple of inches, and that's going to put us right where we need to be. Then I can pull the Suburban up, you know, from about here to here, basically just where it's just about to touch. I'm going to put some straps over the tires, and then I'm also going to put some ratchet straps from the frame down to here to pull the suspension down some, so that when you go over a bump and if it unloads the suspension, it's not going to go crashing into the got the freaking hiccups, crashing into the 4-link bars up here. The airbags have got about 95 pounds in them. That's about what I figured. I think they're rated for like 105 or 110. Obviously, if we put, you know, 600 or 1,000 pounds of tongue weight on it, that'll unload the back axle a little bit. But there she be. I got to build a little ramp deal back here. I had to torch one of those pieces of little thing sticking out there. I don't know what do you call it, piece of beam that was too wide. One of the tires on the Suburban would have caught it. It's quite a contraption. Well, anyway, that's about the size of it. The next thing I've got to do is I've got to do the steering, and I guess I need to paint it. I was going to take some, the metal's real slick, and I was going to take some expanded metal and weld it on it. And I was talking to a buddy of mine. He says, well, don't do that because it'll trap dirt and it'll rot the floor out of it. And I think what I might do is run it to somewhere and have this thing, at least that part, have like a bed liner put in it or something. I'm not exactly sure. Something like a Raptor liner or something, or actual bed liner. I've seen some stuff that had like a, it was a real gritty, like it was full of sand or something, some kind of a heavy, thick stuff. I put on my swamp buggy. I don't remember where it came from. I think it came out of a paint can, but anyway, this is about the size of it. I think I may let it sit here a few days. I'm kind of sick of working on it, and I'll jump back on it middle of the week and go from there. Anyway, appreciate you watching. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff, and we'll catch you on the next one.